Hello everybody and welcome back to Cinema Savvy. It is myself George bringing you a brand new review, a spoiler-free review, and this is for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which is now out in cinemas at the time of this video going on worldwide. I've been very fortunate tonight, last night, whenever you're watching this, that we've had preview screenings in the UK. We don't get these often, same night as the multimedia as well. So I was able to watch this at my local IMAX, and I'm giving my spoiler-free thoughts fresh out of watching it. Again, I've been home about 10-15 minutes. I'm here in my Spider-Verse Air Jordans, hyped out the film, ready to give some initial thoughts. But before I get into that sort of stuff, I'm just going to plug we have a spoiler discussion. We're going to be live this Sunday evening time, probably 8 o'clock British time, where we're going to have a couple of people on. We're going to be talking this film. We're going to go through the really big moments, some of the stuff we loved about it, what functioned, and the stuff I'm not going to be saying now, the stuff that's I might have missed or other things people have picked up. So this Sunday we'll be live with a big spoiler discussion on Across the Spider-Verse. But this is spoiler free. And as always, I want to hear from you at home. So please do comment below with your thoughts on Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. If you're a fan of the first film, if you're a fan of this film, what you loved about this film. Is it better than the original? Is it not? I'm curious to hear what you're all thinking after watching this, and please do keep this one spoiler free just so people get a little bit more chance to watch it. But nonetheless, let us know your thoughts, and if you like this video, if you like what we do, we've got a lot of other stuff happening, so please do follow us, get involved. Twitter and Instagram at cinema_savvy, Facebook and letterboxd.com/cinemasavvy, with a link to Letterboxd in the description below. But as I said, I'm here to give my spoiler-free thoughts, and the best way to kick off doing so is actually my thoughts on the original. I'm a big fan of the first film which I think took not necessarily people by surprise, that has grown into one of the most beloved, I don't want to just call it an animated film, one of the most beloved films of the last 5-10 years. A film which I have never come across somebody that disliked it, someone that said this didn't work for them. In terms of animation, one of the most stylish animated films which I think has redefined how animation can be perceived on the big screen, rightfully winning that Oscar, which was a triumphant moment to have it another company than Disney win it for once, and a fully deserving win nonetheless. And I was pretty hyped for this one. Of course, there were delays. It's going to be a two-parter. Beyond the Spider-Verse, I believe, is penciled in for March the 29th, 2024. So if it does come on time, we've got 9 months to wait, so not too long. And it's going to be very exciting seeing what is planned for that. Maybe we'll talk about that on Sunday. Who knows? But heading into this one, pretty excited. I'm not going to lie. Tickets booked the moment tickets were on sale. I went with a group of friends I always go to watch these films with. And I was really excited to be there tonight. And again, seeing this on IMAX. And credits to Sony. Don't say that too often. Not pressing the 3D conversion button because Avatar made a bit of money. The perfect way to watch this film. It was great seeing it on the big screen. You're able to take in so much of the animation. Just talking about that cinematic experience to begin with. It was a really good crowd. It's quite busy. Again, it's a Thursday night. It's the IMAX. There were 3 preview screenings at our cinema. Obviously, the 4 releases tomorrow. It's half term, so it's probably going to be packed in the morning and afternoon showings, but it's going to be a big hit. And those numbers they're talking about potentially opening with, potentially treble the original film's opening, which would be a remarkable record. Maybe we'll talk about that on Sunday. So to want to keep an eye out for, want to keep an eye on audiences, critics have loved this film based off what I've read online. A lot of people I know that have been there tonight. I think they're all started in sync at 7:30, these screens in the country. Really great seeing the reception to it, and that's kind of heading into my initial thoughts on this film. Not overstating it, quite simply, a masterpiece. I could end the review there, I'm not going to. I thought this film would be good. I had high expectations from how good that first film was. With high expectations comes nerves. Not necessarily the film not meeting what I think it could be, but knowing how perfect that first film was. Could they replicate it? Could they do it again? Is it going to be worth us revisiting these characters once more? And the answer is yes. They've absolutely nailed this. And when I say they've nailed it, I'm not just talking story. I'm not talking the voice cast, the voice acting. I'm not talking the animation. This is a very rare instance of a perfect film. A film that I cannot tell you a fundamental flaw with. And when it comes into animation, it's really interesting to talk about. I'm not the biggest expert on animated films per se, but what I'm completely mesmerised by about this film, which I think you can see in the trailers, is the cross-blend of varying forms of animation. How certain, I guess we can say, keeping this one spoiler-free, certain multiverses have their own frame rates, they have their own stylistic animation, and what this film has absolutely done is nailed every single universe we get into. Any time you spend in those other worlds, it feels like they have built this world, they've designed this world functions as its own animation. And then when we're getting the other characters appear in there, that is what's blown me away. How they've been able to come up with some of this is nothing short of remarkable. I'm really curious to see behind the scenes. I can already tell you this is going to win the Oscar next year for Best Animated Film. I'm genuinely stumped at how this has been done. And you look at the timing, you think, hey, it's been 4.5 years since the original came out. Of course, there's been a pandemic in that time. This has been delayed. Of course, we've got part 2 coming, as I said. And releasing closer to part 2 is always better than having part 1 out early, if I'm being completely honest. But I am still flabbergasted that a film of this quality was been able to made in this time. I don't know how. I don't know how they've done this across the lockdowns. I don't know how they've done it approach. I just don't know how this film's been made. It is incredible. And, that's the animation. And what's more important than animation is always the story, is always the characters, the people we have. Revisiting Miles Morales as well, a character if you weren't familiar with him when the first film came out, there's only been a video game for him in the follow-up. We've got that sequel coming out this year. It's a character that's been on the line that I think most people can identify with, which is great to see. And I think the audience is there that this is a character who sort of fell in love with on that first film. And even as a Spider-Man film, completely functioned within its own right for those that are maybe new to Spider-Man films or didn't know, aside from Peter Parker, there was ever another Spider-Man. They absolutely brought back the characters. Gwen Stacy, voiced by Hailee Steinfeld, of course, has a really good character arc in this. And I guess for this video, at least, not getting into too much detail, I was surprised at not necessarily how much screen time she had, but the development she had, that they really build up her relationship with Miles in a really great way, where it is aiding their personas, their character arcs, putting them into this new journey, into this adventure, showing the doubts they might have towards one another and seeing where they end up. I thought they absolutely got the writing superb on these characters. It's very easy to throw in a rushed relationship. I wouldn't say it's a relationship of sorts in this, but it feels like a genuine friendship, that these are two characters that have maybe fallen for one another, two characters that care for one another, they want to see each other again, they've not been able to. They handled the multiverse split so well between films that we can understand and process that they have had lives since that first film happened. And it's very easy for sequels to fall into that trap of just pretending nothing happened, it's the day after. They get the gap right, it feels earned, and that's full credit to the animation team again, to the voice cast, Shameik Moore, of course, through Miles Morales, and a few of the other big players. We got Oscar Isaac playing Spider-Man 2099. Someone was a great credit scene, a great little comedy moment there. Absolutely loved him in this film. You could argue the antagonist of the film, you could argue one of the new characters, however you want to frame him. I think Oscar Isaac has a great performance, but this is a captivating character. A character I don't know too much about either. So I'm quite new to him. I'm quite new to seeing what his process is about, seeing what he does. And I really enjoyed what they were able to do with him and the other, I guess, spider people, however we want to call them now. There are hundreds of them. You've seen it in the trailers, you've seen clips in the trailers. They don't reveal too much, but what they're able to do with an ensemble animated cast who are all playing spider characters, every single character we get to meet, we get to spend time in, they're captivating. The voice cast is pretty much perfect throughout the animation teams. Again, it doesn't feel like they've copy and pasted certain characters. The animation style is so specific to each individual one. Again, I want to know how they made this. I want to know how they approached each and every one of these Spider-Man, because they weren't just chucked in there for the sake of being chucked in there. Maybe some will, but again, when background characters have a distinct animation style and you're getting dozens of these on the screen at the same time, set in a universe with its own distinct animation style, it's that process of wanting to know how did they get to this point. And I just think it's quite extraordinary in terms of what this film is going to do for animation. I spoke at the beginning about the first film and how great that one is as well. I fundamentally believe that this one is right up there as well, that people will be talking about this as many years go by. And hopefully there's a part 2 that absolutely knocks out the park. And I don't want to diverge too much into character arcs. As I mentioned, we've got the spoiler on Sunday, but also Miles' parents, who we know in the trailer as well, who we know there's going to be the traditional Spider-Man storytelling techniques, struggling with the dual identity. I don't really want to compare this to the other Spider-Man films, because I think, not it's disrespectful at all, it's absolutely not. There's certainly Spider-Man 2 vibes in the sense that the characters and the story is coming first, not action, not set pieces, not them choosing to do something, not Sony putting in their logos for marketing every 10 to 20 seconds. They absolutely nailed what it means for Miles to be himself whilst also bearing the responsibility of Spider-Man. That's something some of the films have handled so well. That's something some of the other films have handled poorly. And it's great to see they've nailed it in another sequel for this film. And kind of looking at it as a Spider-Man, you know, we've got a playlist on the channel now of all of our Spider-Man reviews, and that goes back to all the live action ones as well. Is this the best one? And I know that's jumping the gun. I know I haven't even spoken about music yet, but I just kept thinking this film, watching this, that this is extraordinary. I didn't think this would be like this. I didn't think it could be this good. And I'm sat here when I was in the car on the way back, I was sat there thinking, like, is this the best Spider-Man film? Now, it's not even been a day. It's not even been 2 hours since the credits rolled. But I think certainly there's a conversation to be had that this is up there. The first one is up there anyway. And we've had time. We've had 4 years of that. We've had, 20 plus years with one of the others. So it's really interesting seeing these Spider-Man films come together. But what I'm going to say in regards to comparing it to others, I think it could be. I think we'll know more in the future as the years go by. It could be more than a trilogy. There could be more than 3 films planned. But could this be the defining trilogy of the Spider-Man trilogies? Could it overtake the Raimi trilogy? It's incredible that I'm thinking about this so short after watching this film. And if I'm being genuinely honest, I think this is the best film in terms of technical craft I've seen since Avatar: The Way of Water, which I know not everybody enjoys, but in terms of the filmmaking process, this is there. And the cinematic experience, the film, the enjoyment, everything. Is this the best one since Top Gun Maverick for me? Now, it's not better than Top Gun Maverick in the sense of what I'm into, action, etc., etc., but I'm talking about my experience at the cinema, watching a film for the first time, how I've felt coming out of that screening. And I really have this up there with some of the best things I've seen over the last couple of years. And it's going to be interesting to do a bit more research tonight. When these films come out, I like to avoid reviews. I like to avoid behind the scenes. I like to avoid cast interviews and stuff like that because I just want to absolutely see what they're doing. And I've mentioned it, Daniel Kaluuya, Spider-Punk, is incredible in this film. And maybe British people have a certain bias and love towards him, maybe more than some of the American counterparts will do, but I thought he was sensational. One of the great comedic roles of this film. A film that's not just heartwarming and emotional, it's funny, but they always have that balance right, just like the first film did. It feels like it's a second entry in a trilogy. It feels like, again, they've continued it forward. They have gone out there, they've expanded and improved upon what they did in the first film, and it's so rare for a sequel to be genuinely a better film than the first. And this one has absolutely surpassed that first film. I would tell you that right now. And I want to absolutely give credit to Daniel Pemberton with the score again for this film. Love the first one. Love what he does in this one. We've got some of the traditional Miles beats. And again, we've got different music for different multiverses. It's not an easy thing to do, to not just replicate what you've done already and just try it in a different way. He's created persona within the worlds like he's done with the characters. And like the animation team have done with their style. It's a truly remarkable film, and I can only continue to sing its praises. And I really don't have much more to say. I genuinely couldn't tell you a negative. Closest thing to a negative is a 9-month wait to the next one if they don't delay it any longer. But there's nothing bad to go on. And that ending, we're going to discuss it on Sunday. If you've seen it, you'll know what I mean. It was a real great way to have an ending like this. And for those curious, those sticking by, no credit scene either, which I'm also very happy with. This film didn't need a credit scene. It didn't need to set anything else up. It ends in a very important spot for our characters, for the story, for the overarching story, for where they're going to go. And the main thing is it made me feel hyped. It made me think, yeah, bring on part 2. I cannot wait to see what is going to happen in Beyond the Spider-Verse, which is always a fantastic way to end these sort of cinematic experiences. So I'm going to very politely do that to end this review. As I said, I'm going to mention it again and again. Spoiler discussion this Sunday. We'll be able to talk about everything. There'll be a couple of us on there, and I might see it again between now and then. If I can get time, I will definitely see it again between now and then because it is really worth watching. And that big screen experience, 100% recommend. Do watch on the big screen. See it at cinemas. Try and get the biggest one. Try and take an animation similar to John Wick 4. I might try and see this on a smaller screen. See if there's any little bits I can notice and take into effect off a slightly smaller screen. Not that that's a criticism. Just sometimes at IMAX, you're looking all over the place, and there's so much to take in of this film, what it's doing with the animation styles, the little bits here and there, the comic panels. It's wonderful, and I can't wait to talk about it in more detail. So that's going to run out tonight's review. Thank you all for watching. As I mentioned before, if you want to find out about other videos, do get us on our social medias. Links are in the description. Comment below your thoughts, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care. Thanks for watching.